Welcome, chemistry students. It's me, Mr. Cheney, with another brilliant tutorial. This one has to do with the lesson on moles. Not the animal, but the moles where we measure stuff in chemistry. So the first assignment that we did involving this was right here. It was an e-text thing that we did. So here is the slide deck, and here's how we go through the process. So we have slides 1 through 10. This is informational, this is informational, and then what we're doing here is actually replicating that, well, actually not replicating, actually doing. This is informational, filling out this table, this is informational, then we're replicating, and then finally we're doing some calculations here. So let's go through the entire situation. Okay, so for the informational slides, here we go. This is kind of like the micro lecture part. So measuring matter in chemistry, in science, the 3 basic ways to quantify it: count, mass, and volume. So count's easy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 12. We know that 12 equals 1 dozen. 1 dozen apples is 12 apples. When we put 12 apples onto a scale, which is 1 dozen, we know that weighs about 2.00 kilograms. And then when we're talking about volume, taking up space, 0.20 bushels. So here's the conversion chart. 1 dozen apples equals 12 apples, 1 dozen apples equals 2.0 kilograms, 1 dozen apples equals 0.20 bushels. So how do we calculate for just 1 apple? We put 1 apple that we want to figure out what the weight is. We put the conversion chart for a dozen apples and 12. The reason we put it this way is because we want to cancel out like terms. So since we're looking for kilograms to 1 apple, we're going to cross out apples, and then our conversion for 2.0 kilograms versus dozen apples, we're going to put it this way because we want to cross cancel dozen, and we're solving for kilograms. So now all we've got left is numbers: 1, 1, 2, so that's 1 times 1 times 2, which is 2. And then we have 12 times 1, which is 12, which means we have 2 over 12, and that's the division problem. So if we get our calculator up, and we do 2 divided by 12, that's going to be 0.016, and they're going to want us to round up on that. 0.016666 rounded up is 0.17, so that's how they got that answer. So, knowing that, now we're going to use the exact same way to calculate what 90 apples is going to weigh. So we just plug in 90 instead of 1, and again we're crossing out like terms: apples for apples, dozen apples for dozen apples, which leaves us with kilograms, and so we have 90 times 1 times 2, which is 180 on the top, 12 times 1 on the bottom, which is 12. 180 divided by 12 is going to be 15 kilograms of apples. So here's your task for slides 4 and 5. You're simply using these boxes to replicate what's right here. So if I were to replicate this, I'm going to take the box of an apple, I'm going to take 1 dozen apples here, just like the picture is showing me. I got 12 apples on the bottom, I've got 1 dozen down here, I've got 2.0 kilograms up here, and the answer is this. And yes, we are going to use the red lines to cover up like terms so that we know what we're trying to calculate for. So apples gets crossed out, apple gets crossed out, dozen apples get crossed out, dozen apples get crossed out, so we're left with kilograms. 1 times 1 times 2 is 2. 12 times 1 is 12. 2 divided by 12 equals this. So now you're going to do the same thing for 90, so you'll set that up. And now the tough one. We're trying to solve for 14 kilograms of apples. So the clue I'll give you is that we're going to start with this, and we're going to end with, we're going to copy and paste this, we're going to end with the number of seeds. It's a 3-digit number. We need to know how many seeds are in this many apples. So, using the red lines, using the boxes, you're going to figure those out so that we can calculate for seeds. Okay, lastly, the definition of moles, the number is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. we are counting representative particles. So for atoms, that's atoms. For molecules, it's all the atoms in a molecule. And then for formula units, that's what we know as ions. So this chart right here is the next thing that you fill out. We're looking for the representative particle, so atom, molecule, or formula. And we've got those boxes over here, so you're going to match that. And then all of these, I'll give you a clue, these are all going to be 602 times 10 to the 23rd, so you can just copy and paste those, because we're looking for a mole for every single one of these, and then you're just going to identify what the chemical formula is for nitrogen, water, and sodium chloride. So you put those in there. Lastly, we are copying this right here with these symbols, just like we did with these, which is copying what's already there. So we're going to move these around, give you a clue. We're going to start with that. And for multiplication like that, you can fill out the rest. You want to bring over a couple red lines that I forgot to give you, so Control C, Control V over here a couple times so that you can use them. And then the very last thing on this slide deck is that we are calculating for both of these. 2.17 times 10 to the 23rd. We're going to set them up exactly like this right here so that you can solve for them. And that's it. So that's kind of the tutorial to get this set up. I will be available for you to kind of get the calculations figured out in case you get stuck. And I will see you back in class.